Global debt just hit 330 trillion. Divide that by every person on Earth and you get 40,000 each. Australia's included in that number. But here's the thing, that isn't even our biggest problem. Households are stretched thin, interest rates are still high, unemployment is creeping up, and mortgage growth has basically stalled. 5 dominoes all wobbling at the same time. If they fall together in 2026, what happens to Australia? I spent a full week digging through reports from the Reserve Bank, the ABS, APRA, the IMF, and all 4 major banks. Today, I'm breaking down each domino, one by one, showing how much damage each could do. The real question is, will they actually fall at the same time and drag Australia into recession? Welcome to Aus Property Strategy. I'm Alex. We help members achieve financial freedom, retirement freedom, and travel freedom through property investment. Every week, I share property knowledge and market insights. Please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you know when the new videos drop. Let's start with domino number 1, global household financial stress, and we will begin with the biggest economy in the world. New York Fed data shows that American households owe $18.5 trillion. That's $4.2 trillion more than before the pandemic. Credit card default rates have jumped to 3%. Translation? 1 in every 30 Americans swiping plastic can't pay their bill. Consumer confidence is sitting at 54. It's been below 65 for 11 months straight. Why does 65 matter? That's the recession warning line. Americans have been nervous about the future for almost a year now. This is the world's largest consumer market. Over 300 million people are afraid to spend. Car loan defaults are rising too. When people can't even make car payments, you know something's wrong. This kind of spending pullback will eventually ripple across the globe. Now let's look at Germany. GDP has gone backwards 2 years in a row, down 0.3% in 2023, another 0.2% in 24. Among the G7, Germany is the only one shrinking. The IFO Business Climate Index dropped to 87.6, almost the lowest since the pandemic. Manufacturing PMI has been in the contraction for 30 straight months. German business owners are more pessimistic now than when COVID first hit. Germany is Europe's economic engine. When the engine stalls, the whole train slows down. Finally, New Zealand, our neighbor. Property prices there are down 17.5% from their January 2022 peak. Wellington got hit harder, down 25%. Adjust for inflation and real prices have fallen by over 31% from late 2021. That's the deepest correction in New Zealand's modern housing history. Silver lining, the Reserve Bank of New Zealand has cut rates by 175 basis points, and the market is showing signs of stabilizing. So what's the verdict on Domino 1? Global households are under pressure, that's real, but we're not at 2008 levels yet. American mortgage defaults are actually still stable. This is stress, not collapse. The question is, if pressure keeps building, does it trigger something bigger? That's where Domino 2 comes in. Domino 2, global debt and borrowing costs. The IMF just dropped a warning. Global debt has crossed $330 trillion. Let me put that differently. 80% of the world's economies have more debt than before the pandemic, and it's growing faster. Governments everywhere are borrowing just to keep the lights on. But borrowed money has to be paid back with interest. The US national debt stands at $37.4 trillion. The debt ceiling was just raised to $41.1 trillion. What's more interesting is that foreign buyers are quietly stepping away. Japan sold $27.3 billion of US treasuries in December 2024, bringing its holding to $1.06 trillion. China has gone from holding $1.3 trillion at the 2013 peak to just $759 billion now, a 42% drop. Countries used to fight over American debt, now they are walking away. What does this mean? America has to offer higher yields to attract buyers. Higher yields push up borrowing costs across the board. For Australia, our interest rates are tied to global funding costs. When US Treasury yields rise, our rates follow. That's why even after the RBA cut rates 3 times, the big 4 banks went the other way and raised fixed mortgage rates. Global money costs what it costs, and Australia can't escape that. Here's the good news though. On the global debt scoreboard, Australia is near the top of the class. Federal government net debt is only about 20% of GDP. Total government debt is just 32%. Compare that to Japan at 260%, the US at 121%, the UK at 100%, and Germany at 65%. Australia's 32% is among the lowest in the developed world. If things go wrong, our government still has room to move. Finch confirmed in October 2025 that Australia keeps its AAA rating with a stable outlook. The Parliamentary Budget Office ran 27 economic scenarios, and in 25 of them, Australia's debt ratio declines, not rises. So unless something extreme happens, we're getting better, not worse. And where are the global rates right now? The Fed is at 3.7 to 3.75%, the ECB at 2%, the Bank of England at 3.75%, and RBA at 3.6%. The only central bank raising rates is the Bank of Japan, which just hit 0.75%, the highest since 1995. Japan's end of its zero-rate era will shake up global money flows, but there's no direct hit on Australia yet. Domino 2 verdict? Global debt is at record levels and borrowing is getting more expensive. But Australia's balance sheet is one of the cleanest among rich countries. This domino's direct impact on us is limited. Domino 3, employment. This one worries me most. There's a note saying in economics, recessions don't start with unemployment, they end with it. By the time unemployment spikes, the economy has been hurting for a while. So don't watch unemployment, that's a lagging indicator. Watch job ads. When companies stop hiring, they're telling you something about how they see the future. Seek data shows job ads dropped 12.2% year on year. 8 out of 12 months saw declines. That's 7 consecutive months of falling ads with no signs of turning around. Tech, retail, and construction are cutting back the most. Big companies are letting people go. Small companies are frozen, waiting to see what happens. The vibe is the job market has changed. Current unemployment, ABS data for November 2025 shows 4.3%, up from 4% at the end of 2024. The employment to population ratio hit a record 64.6%. Participation rate at 67.3%. Numbers look okay on the surface, but there's something hiding underneath. Full-time jobs are shrinking while part-time work is booming. Companies are swapping permanent staff for casuals to cut costs. That's not healthy growth. Full-time work comes with benefits and security. Part-time, you could be gone tomorrow with nothing to fall back on. So Domino 3 verdict, headlines look fine, but the deeper numbers are flashing warnings. Unemployment will probably sit around 4.3 to 4.5% through 2026. Not a collapse, but definitely under pressure. If you have any questions about Australian property investment, please book a free discovery call on our website. If you want a team offering one-stop service to help you build a property investment portfolio, achieve financial freedom, and retire early, join our Vision Gold membership starting with 30-minute discovery session. Or to keep it simple, our data-driven buyers agency service can help. We buy and manage properties for our clients anywhere in Australia. If you have an international view, talk to us about the UAE Vision Gold membership. We help you invest in the UAE property market, plan your tax residency, reduce your taxes to almost zero, and handle CRS and AML auditing. Links to the service are in the description below. Domino 4, and this is the big one. Mortgage growth may have peaked. Why does this matter so much? Here's Australia's open secret. Our economy doesn't really run on productivity or exports. It runs on rising property prices and people borrowing to buy. When prices rise, homeowners feel richer and spend more. Banks lend more and it flows through the system. This model has worked for decades, but it might be running out of road. The big four banks can't agree on what's coming in 2026. CBA predicts a 25 basis points hike in February. NAB sees hikes in February and May. Westpac and ANZ think rates stay at 3.6%. Two say up, two say hold. When the four biggest banks can't agree with each other, you know uncertainty is very high. Cotality data shows national prices rose just 0.7% in December 2025, the lowest in 5 months. Sydney and Melbourne both went backwards, down 0.1%. That's the first monthly drop since the February 2025 rate cut. 4-year growth was 9.2%, but momentum is clearly fading. Here's where it gets interesting. The market is splitting apart. Perth rose 1.9% in December, Brisbane 1.6%, and Adelaide 1.9%. Meanwhile, Sydney and Melbourne went in the opposite direction. Same country, totally different markets. Population flows, industry mix, and affordability. Each city has its own story now. APRA has already stepped in. From February the 1st, 2026, new debt-to-income rules kick in. Loans above 6 times income can't exceed 20% of a bank's new lending. This mainly hits investors. Investors' lending has climbed to 36.5%, the highest since 2016. APRA is basically saying, slow down on borrowing. Good news, mortgage stress remains surprisingly stable. RBA data shows loans more than 90 days overdue at around 1%, same as pre-pandemic. So Domino 4's verdict, Mortgage growth is slowing, but supply is tight and almost nobody is underwater. A crash is unlikely. Expect prices to rise 3 to 7% in 2026, with cities moving in different directions. Perth and Brisbane keep leading. Sydney and Melbourne might go sideways or dip slightly. The final domino, cracks in the financial system. Everyone's asking about Victoria. Fair enough. Their finances aren't pretty. Net debt is projected to grow from $155.2 billion in 24 to 25 financial year to $194 billion by 28 to 29. Debt as a share of the state economy will peak at 25.2% in 26 to 27. Interest payments, $28.9 million every single day. By 28 to 29, annual interest cost will hit $10.6 billion. That's money that could build hospitals, fix roads, and fund schools. Every morning, Victorian taxpayers wake up owing $28.9 million in interest before anything else happens. Does this mean the whole financial system is at risk? Not really. Australia's big four banks have core capital ratio of 12.4%, well above the 4.5% minimum. APRA runs stress tests in which GDP fell by 15%, unemployment hit 13%, and property prices crashed by 30%. Result? All 11 major banks stayed solvent. Even under extreme scenarios, the banks don't fail. What about non-bank risks? The RBA says 45 to 50% of non-bank assets are superannuation funds. These are defined contribution funds that can't use leverage directly, nothing like the UK pension crisis of 2022. Private credit is tiny, just 2.5% of business debt. The Domino 5 verdict, keep an eye on Victoria, but the overall system is solid, banks are well-funded, regulation is tight, and systematic risk is low. 5 dominoes analyzed. What's the real outlook for 2026? Mainstream forecasts show GDP growth rising from 1.8% in 2025 to between 2.1 and 2.3%. The RBA says 2.2%, Treasury says 2.25%, and Westpac is most optimistic at 2.4%. Inflation fell to 3.4% in November 2025, with core at 3.2%. It should keep falling in 2026, though hitting the 2 to 3% target band isn't guaranteed. Unemployment will probably settle around 4.3 to 4.5%. Property forecasts are wide. SQM Research has a base case of 6 to 10% growth, an optimistic case of 10 to 14%, pessimistic case of 4 to 8%. Cities will keep diverging. Perth could see 12 to 16%, Brisbane 10 to 15%, Sydney just 1 to 4%, and Melbourne 4 to 7%. After all this data, here's what I think. Australia's economy won't collapse. Here's why. Government debt at 32% is the lowest among developed nations, nowhere near Japan's 260% or America's 121%. Bank capital at 12.4% is well above requirements. And stress tests prove they can handle extreme shocks. Property supply is extremely tight, so there are no crash conditions. Unemployment will rise but stay within full employment range, not enough to trigger mass defaults. What would it actually take to collapse? Everything would need to go wrong at once. A global financial crisis, APRA clamping down hard, unemployment above 6%, rates above 5%, and property falling more than 10%. The odds of all that happening together, experts estimate 5 to 10%. Most likely scenario for 2026, GDP grows by 2.1 to 2.3% in a mild recovery, inflation keeps falling, unemployment stabilizes around 4.5%. That's a soft landing, not a crash. So what can you do about all this? You can't control global debt, RBA decisions, or how Victoria spends money, but you can control your own investments. Focus on cash flow. In a high-rate environment, assets with positive cash flow handle pressure better, though it's very hard to find a property in Australia with positive cash flow now. Then avoid maxing out your borrowing. APRA tightening the rules is a hint. Don't borrow to your limit. Leave yourself some room. Then build an emergency fund. The typical Australian household has just $600 saved for emergencies. That's not enough. Aim for 3 to 6 months of expenses. Stay liquid. Don't lock everything into assets you can't access quickly. If you need cash, make sure you can get it. And then diversity. Don't just buy location, across asset types too. Property, shares, cash. The old line about eggs and baskets never gets old. The 2026 market is more complicated than recent years. Rates, inflation, jobs, regulation, everything's moving at once. Doing it alone is risky. Vision Gold membership at Oz Property Strategy takes that problem off your hands. Check the description or the website for more information. If you made it this far, hit the like and subscribe and share this with your friends. Oz Property Strategy helps you succeed in Australian property investment. I'm Alex and have a good one.